Hey, what's going on, everyone? Joe Menza here, and we're going to kind of get back to basics here with some simple watercolor. Here I have a pad of 11 by 15 watercolor paper. This paper is available from Hobby Lobby, and it's decent watercolor paper. I like to use it, and it's not expensive. You can see from the price on the cover, $16.99. You can get it 50% off. Now, I like to take the paper, and I have this board that I got. It's an ampersand board for art. And the way I do it is I clip my paper to a board. I know a lot of people will tape down paper, but I use these, what they call bullnose clips. And I'm just kind of going over this. I've never addressed really the preparation part in really too many videos. So what I do is I take and I clip as little as I can of the paper with these bullnose clips to a board like this. And this board, you can just put it on a table. You could put it underneath. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And that's my whole thing with, getting people to start with the watercolor hobby is you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can buy a pad, you get it 50% off, buy one, get one free. So the paper will cost you about, $16. You get a couple pads. And then you can buy a few tubes of their paint that they sell there. This is a yellow, and then ultramarine blue. I have a burnt umber, and then a gamboge. And this is indigo. Indigo is one of my favorite dark colors to use. And then, of course, I'm going to use these brushes here. Instead of using the Ron Ranson Hake brush, I'm using these Master's Touch brushes just to show you that you can paint a picture and you can use these inexpensive brushes. You can buy both sizes of these. You can see how you can kind of frizz them up and, make different shapes with them, just like with the other brush. You can get both of these brushes for about $10. And if Master's Touch is on sale 50% off, you can get them probably even less than that. So between the 5 tubes of paint, you'll spend about, if they're half price, $15, $16.99 for paper, and then about $10 for the brushes. And then you get some clips and a board to put your paper on. And I have this spray bottle. These spray bottles are about $6. I like to use a spray bottle. You don't have to. You can use even a Windex bottle. And then I have this is a fan brush. Now you can get these for a few dollars. I like to get the stiff ones. Don't have to spend a lot of money. But the idea here is to keep things under, I'd say, about $50 for all your tools just to get started with. And you can paint several pictures. You can paint, 30, 40 pictures with this. Of course, you're going to need a cup. And these brushes hold a lot of water. So what you're going to want to do is you can take the excess off. You're going to start with a full brush of water. And you're going to apply water to your sheet. I apply it to the whole entire sheet. Now, sometimes you might do it half. But for the most part, for me, it's just a good starting jumping off point to apply water to the entire sheet, wet the whole paper down. Now, here we have some yellow. This is like a medium yellow, I believe. And again, this is the Master's Touch line. Everything I have here you can pretty much get from Hobby Lobby. So I'm just going to put on just a generous amount here. And because the brush holds so much water, you're not, some people put a little bit on a tray and they'll mix water in there. When we use these larger brushes, they already have water on them. So that's kind of what we're relying on to mix with our watercolor. And as we progress with the picture, to finishing the picture, we use less and less water as we come closer, as we come to the foreground. So here we have a nice background. That'll be for our sky, a nice glow with the yellow. I like to use a yellow ochre, or a medium yellow is fine. We're only going to use about 5 colors here. And now I'm coming in with, this is ultramarine blue. And these are all watercolors here. Now you've seen a few of my more recent videos. I do use gouache. And gouache works really the same way. I'll continue using that. But I really wanted to go with watercolor and kind of get back to basics here. And you can see I've put some blue on the bottom and I put some blue along the top. And what I've done is I've created a light source. And here I've got a few little hairs that fell off the brush. That happens, and you can pick those out or you can leave them. It doesn't really matter. idea here is to have fun, to relax, to enjoy what you're doing, and just to come up with a nice, pleasant nature scene. Now this is my indigo, and I've got a little bit of a board down below here on this little travel easel that I have. This little easel is like a plein air easel, like $59 I got it for on Amazon. So I'm taking and I'm pressing the bristles into the paint, and this is sort of a combination here. I've got a little indigo and a little ultramarine blue. So I'm kind of sticking with the colors of the painting, a little blue, a little yellow. And you'll notice I had a lot more paint on in the pine trees to the right. And on the left, it's kind of running out a little bit. And that happens. You want a little more paint, just I dip right into the paint almost really neat. Because again, there's water already on this brush. So the water on the brush is going to mix in. Now here I'm going a little heavier. And again, I'm just focusing on shapes here. As you can see, it'll take a little bit of a knack for you to figure, okay, I turn the brush and I, frizz the bristles a little bit, and I get this nice shape here. Now, of course, we're going to leave some white on the bottom. A lot of watercolor is leaving some whites, reserving some whites. And the better you can do that, the more impressive in a lot of ways that those areas can be where you've left the white. That can be snow or highlight areas. Now here I've gone into the burnt umber, and burnt umber mix really well with blues, especially ultramarine, indigo. And you notice I can get these different varying shades. And I'm leaving a little bit of white here behind, and I'm just dabbing that in and creating a foreground. This is going to be an area where there's maybe a little dirt, or there's going to be some rocks or stones. Maybe it's an old riverbed or something. I'm just kind of winging it here. I have my most fun when I'm just going from imagination. And so I'm just dipping into a little bit of the dark. I'm working with the indigo, ultramarine, burnt umber. And then, of course, I have the yellow. Now, here's a little trick for you. If you don't have a plastic credit card, you can take the backside of a tube of paint, and you can use the sharp edges to create little rocks. Just press it into the wet paint and just make little rocks and make little tree trunks as well. And that helps break up little areas just by making instantaneous rocks, instantaneous sticks, twigs, and tree trunks. And to me, that's a lot of fun. To do that scraping, as we call it. Now here's the larger brush. I'm going to take that. There's a 1.5 inch. Is this the smaller brush, actually? So there's two size brushes of this. And they do call them a hake brush on their website. Now I've dipped into a little gamboge here. Now, interestingly, okay, if you go yellow, because these are transparent colors, yellow over blue, you're going to get a green effect. A little bit of a yellow will come through. So just a little highlights on the tree. Now, if I dip in, I do a little yellow ochre. Yellow ochre is more of an opaque color, even in watercolor. And you can use that as a highlight color over the top, as you can see. And that's changed those trees dramatically there. Again, we're using the same shade, yellows, blues, dark blues with the indigo, and then, of course, the burnt umber. So we're staying within a family range of colors. You can have 32 different color tubes of paint, but if you used all 30, it would just be really a mess. You want to stay within a certain range of colors, complementary colors. Get yourself a color wheel and look at what works well together. However, with landscapes, of course, the colors that are in nature do work well together already. So now I'm going into my fan brush, and I've picked up some of that indigo. And now I'm going to use my reserved darks for the end. You save your darks in watercolor for the end. And I'm going to take that and just dab in and complete these branches. and complete the realistic look of these pine trees. So we've got the highlight colors, and all of this will kind of melt together. If you give it a little spray with the water bottle, you'll get like a very interesting effect when you zoom in. Just like now I'm hitting it with my continuous spray. Don't overdo it because it'll all run down unless you're going for an effect of running down. Now here's another trick. Taking a little tissue and I'm rubbing the wet paint across to create shadows. I'm just taking that paint and I'm just rubbing it across into the white. And I've got instant shadows. So you don't even have to paint the shadows in. And you can use that to rub around. You can also use it for textures by touching little dark areas of paint and just pressing it and coming back. And you'll get little textures out of that. So I redid a couple of the tree trunks that I might have covered up by mistake, if I wanted a little more of that effect. And then I'm just going in with my brush, and now this is sort of the phase when I look at my painting and say, okay, what do I need? I need a little detail here, maybe a few more rocks here, and I'm taking the end of the tube and just cutting in a few little rocks in there. And then, of course, what I like to do when I make rocks is I take my fan brush and I go into a dark color, and I anchor those, just like I'm doing here. I anchor those to the ground. It creates a little shadow underneath, and it bumps up the value of the rock. And again, just going where I think I might need it. I give it a little spray just to kind of blend that together. And here I'm just taking the fan brush and I'm just making some branches stick out into that light. Just where you would see those limbs coming out. These are just like touch-ups, as I would call it. Stand back, look at your painting and say, is there something weird that shouldn't be sticking out? Now here I have a micron pen, it's a 0.05. I'm just drawing in a couple of birds. You can use a brush for that. You can use a rigger brush. But I prefer to use a little pen. It just, my hand shakes a little bit. And the last thing I want to do is mess up my painting because my hand shook. And then I sign my picture on the bottom. And that's it. Let's see what it looks like. I like to have these mats laying around. You can get these on Amazon, or you can cut your own. These mats are 16 by 20 with the window. It's about the size of the painting. You can buy these in like a 5-pack, 10-pack, and they're good to have around just to put over your painting to see. Here it is. Here is the finished product. Let's zoom in and just look at the little details. You can see the little rocks, and almost looks like there's a little water maybe trickling through there somewhere. We have the light coming down through, and there's a little area of like maybe snow and light coming through from the sky. And that's it. Didn't take us very long. And I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope this helps you. And I will see you on the next video.